Coming to you from the beautiful University of South Florida campus in Tampa, it's USF Housing Live!
Residential education about the move-in experience. If you're joining us live, type your questions in the comments and we will answer you live on the show. First this evening, we'll be speaking with Megan Hooper, Assistant Director for Housing Services with Housing and Residential Education at USF. Hi Megan, how are you?
Good, Julia, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us this evening.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into some questions about move-in. So, I can't believe it's already August. We're almost there. Can you tell us when move-in is?
Move-in begins in 11 days. It's hard to believe. Time has flown by, but we start August 16th through August 23rd.
All right. And how do you sign up for a move-in appointment time? And how long are you given for that move-in appointment?
Yeah, you're given 3 hours and you can sign up in your housing portal. And so there's a morning time, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And you just need to show up within that time frame to check in.
Great. And where are you checking in on your specific dates? So this year we're doing things a little bit differently as we've gone over before in previous Housing Live episodes, but from the 16th to the 21st is one location, and then the 22nd and 23rd is another. So can you break those down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So August 16th through the 21st, we're at the Yuengling Center, and that'll be a drive-through process. And then the August 22nd and 23rd, that will be at your service desk locations you'll check in. And so that is at JPH, the Hub, or Holly M. So very different than before. We're not going to the Union. So Yuengling Center, the 16th through the 21st, and then the 22nd and 23rd is at your service desk.
And we talked about how you have those 3 hours, either your morning or afternoon appointment time. Can you check in outside of your move-in appointment?
Unfortunately, no, you can't. Our check-in ends at 4 p.m. And so after that, you'll have to sign up for a different time for another day. If you need certain accommodations, definitely email housing@usf.edu.
All right. We have our first question from the audience, asked from Lynn. We are going to get to this a little bit later, so I'm going to ask ahead of time, though. Can we access, Lynn is asking, we are out-of-state family and shipped a package. Can we access it from Holly mailroom the day before we move in, even though my son won't have his USF student ID yet? It's a great question.
That is a great question. Yes, you may. It depends on when you are checking in. If it is on Sunday, the 16th, our mail center is open on the 15th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. You'll just need to have a government-issued ID of some sort to show us.
All right. And the next question I have for you is, how do you get your key? So is that during the check-in process? When does that happen?
Yeah, so during the check-in process, beginning August 16th through the 21st at Yuengling Center, there will be 2 separate stations. At Station 1, you're going to show a government-issued ID or your USF ID if you already have it, and then we will pull up your room information. Then you'll proceed to Station number 2, and you'll receive your key at Station number 2, along with a map for your unloading areas. On August 22nd through the 23rd, when you go to your service desk, you'll receive your key there, but you do need to make sure you have an ID on you so that we can look you up in the system.
Great, and let's move back into mail. So where do you pick up your mail?
Yeah, so we have 2 mail locations. Juniper Poplar has a mail center within the lobby area, and you'll actually have, if you live in Juniper Poplar or Magnolia, you'll actually be given a mailbox in a combination, and you can find that in your housing portal. All other residence halls will go to the Holly H Mail Center. And all you need to do is bring your USF ID with you, and then we will give you your mail.
All right, and how do you go about finding your mailing address as a resident?
It's in the housing portal, but it's also really easy on our website, housing.usf.edu. And you can look it up under mail services and just pick your hall, and it'll auto-populate your address for you.
All right, and when can you begin receiving mail to your on-campus address?
You can start receiving it now. Some people have already started sending packages and letters and those sorts of things. So we are accepting mail for the fall already so that we are prepared for when you arrive. If you have something that is sent, you're out of state or anything like that, you can pick it up that day.
Wonderful. And what are the mail center hours this semester?
Yeah. So Monday through Friday, it's 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays, it's 12 to 3 p.m. There is one exception for move-in on that Sunday, August 16th. We will be open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in case anyone who's moving in then needs to pick up their mail.
All right, wonderful. And we're getting lots of questions from the audience that we'll get to in a minute. So let's see. Let's talk about the move-in carts, the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon. Will move-in carts be provided, and how do you check one out, and where will they be?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon will be in charge of those carts and sanitizing them as well. So we will have a certain amount of carts available at Holly L, Holly J, Cypress E, and the Juniper Poplar lobby area. We do encourage people to bring their own if possible because there may be a wait and time to make sure that we sanitize them. But we will have some carts available for people to check out. You will need to bring an ID to show us to check out the cart.
Perfect. So Mary's asking, my daughter is a volunteer for moving, which I'm assuming is the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon program, and she moves in on the 15th. So for those watching that don't know, Bull Hall Welcome Wagon volunteers will be moving in on August 15th. When will we know what time she can move in? So I can answer that, Mary. We sent an email out to all of the volunteers for Bull Hall Welcome Wagon with move-in information, and more information will come in the next few days. But that move-in window, and Megan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that correct at their service desk?
That is correct.
Perfect. All right. So the next question I have is, what services do the service desks provide? Where are they located, and what are their hours this semester?
Yeah, so we have 3 service desks at Holly M, Juniper Poplar lobby area, and then the hub. Our hours are 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. This year. And the services that we provide are, in case you lose your key or you're locked out, you can receive a temp key at the desk. If you forget your ID card and we need to update your swipe access because you get a new ID card, or if you lose your ID card, we can give you a temporary swipe as well. And we also serve as a resource to students for anything that they may need. If you lose something or need help finding a building or anything like that, you can always pop into our desks and we can help you. Another thing is during the non-grand opening times, we do check out carts. So if you do need a cart for some reason after check-in, then you can get that at your service desk.
Wonderful. And Jackie's asking, if we picked a move-in time and then got selected to help with move-in, how do they cancel their original move-in time we signed up for? So I can also answer that, Jackie. If you're selected for the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon volunteer program, you'll have received an email explaining the different processes that you'll go through, including an online training that needs to be completed before you volunteer. And you'll need to apply for an early arrival through the housing portal. So all of that information was sent to the volunteers. Once those are completed, our team will go in on the back end and cancel their original selection for that move-in date. And then Lynn is asking Megan where the carts will be located in the village.
Yes, so they will go to Holly L for village.
Perfect. All right. So if a student needs assistance, this is from my question list, if a student needs assistance outside of the service desk hours, who should they contact?
After 11 p.m., they can contact their RA on duty. At each desk, there is a list of phone numbers for those specific RAs on duty.
All right. And if Greg is asking, if my son's roommate is moving in at a later date, can't parents stay longer on that moving date? So staying longer than their move-in appointment time if their roommate isn't there.
Unfortunately, no, you cannot. We have those move-in times for a specific reason. And so in order for social distancing and to just abide by the guidelines set by housing, we need to have all of our visitors out within that 3-hour period.
All right, thank you. And so like I said, we're getting some more questions from the audience, and next we'll be speaking with Dr. Andy Johnson. So we'll be able to get to a lot more of those questions in a little bit. But the last question I have for you, Megan, before we go to a commercial, do you have any additional tips or advice for those moving in?
Yeah, just stay positive, come and enjoy yourself, and don't overpack. Very easy to do, though.
Great advice, especially for this move-in. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Megan, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, Julia.
All right, have a good one. Thank you.
You too.
It's time for us to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more USF Housing Live right after this.
Welcome to the University of South Florida. I'm Anna Hernandez, Assistant Vice President of Housing and Residential Education. We are so excited that you've chosen to live the Bulls life here at USF. Our team is eager to welcome you to campus, your home away from home. We understand this is a unique time to be making this transition, but the future is bright and there is so much ahead for you at USF. As an on-campus resident, you will have access to a multitude of resources, including your resident assistant, hall council, resident services, and opportunities to make friends. These resources and more are here to support your academic and personal success. We are also supported by our amazing housekeeping staff and maintenance technicians who are focused on creating a clean and safe environment. And the Housing Assignments Office is available throughout the year to assist you with any questions you may have. We can be reached by phone or email. As we enter an academic year unlike any before, the health and safety of our residential community relies on you and the other residents who call it home. It's imperative to wear your face coverings, practice physical distancing, wash your hands frequently, and follow the residential protocol posted throughout the buildings to maintain a healthy community. We look forward to supporting you as you reach your full potential this semester. Thank you for choosing USF. Get ready to live the Bulls life. Go Bulls!
Welcome back. I'm Julia O'Hara, and if you're just now joining us, this is USF Housing Live, and we're here to help you prepare to live the Bulls life at USF. Ask us your questions in the comments, and we'll answer you live on our show. Our second guest this evening is the Director for Operations and Outreach with USF Housing and Residential Education, Dr. Andy Johnson. Welcome, Andy.
Hey, Julia. Thanks so much for having me. It's always great to be on the show.
Well, thanks for joining us. So we have a lot of questions for you from the audience that are watching, and then some that I've prepared as well. So are you ready to jump in?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So let's talk about move-in. What do you need to do before you arrive for your scheduled move-in?
I think the biggest thing that I would recommend folks to do is to make sure you review the move-in webpage. Housing and Residential Education puts out a lot of information on our move-in pages to help students and families get ready to move in. And so I would highly recommend that you start there. Make sure you review the My Bulls guide. There's a lot of information in there as well overall for the campus, but the move-in page is going to be the most important thing. And then in the next couple of days, you should be receiving in the mail, if you already haven't, a move-in mailing guide, right? And it's just a small pamphlet to help you get started and jump into it. So those are probably the two biggest things to get you started.
Absolutely, and I'd like to reiterate what you said about the move-in mailer that's coming in. If you'd like to prepare yourself before it even arrives, all of that information is listed on our website. So housing.usf.edu, you just go in the main banner that you click on, the move-in information 2020. That will have all of the information you need depending on when you're arriving, where you're going. So it's very detailed. So we talked about choosing a move-in appointment time before you arrive. So if a student has gone and selected their move-in appointment, can they go and change it if they need to change it for any reason? And how do they do that?
Absolutely. I mean, we understand that life circumstances change and things like that. And so all you do is you go back into the portal, into the housing portal, and you select a new time. It will erase your old time. And so you will give up that time slot, your old time slot, when you confirm the new one. But that's the easiest way for you to do it. If you run into any kind of issues or problems or have any kind of concerns, you can always reach out to us at housing@usf.edu or give us a call on our main line at 813-974-0001.
Great. And this next question I have prepared for you also came from an audience member, Amy. Amy, thanks for your question. How many visitors are we allowed to have during move-in day?
Great question, Amy. Thank you so much for asking it. So just like we did with our move out, we really wanted to adhere to really strict and safe move-in protocols and practices in accordance with CDC guidelines and social distancing. And so just like with our move out in the spring, we're going to be limiting 2 family members, helpers, friends, assistants, whoever it is that will be helping you that day. So to just 2 to help you move in. So that's really going to be our limit. That will allow us to move in everybody safely and efficiently. So.
And do your move-in helpers need to leave after the move-in appointment time?
Unfortunately, they do. We've set aside 3 hours to help you get in and get settled. We've designed a very efficient check-in process. And so once everything, you get moved in, you get set up, it is time to say goodbye to those loved ones and tell them that you're going to be okay. And you just make sure you stay in contact with them throughout the semester. So.
Absolutely. And how many people will be moving into a building at one time?
Another great question. So again, just really keep in mind our safety of our residents and our family members. We're going to be limiting it to 50 people per move-in time slot per building. So if you signed up for a morning time slot to move in on, let's say, a Monday, there will be no more than 50 people moving into your building for that particular time slot. If there's an afternoon time slot, then that will be an additional 50 people that will move in during that time, but no more than 50 per time slot.
Great. And let's switch gears over to that check-in process, either at Yuengling or at that service desk. So either way, no matter what day you're arriving, what do you need to bring to check in?
The most important thing to bring is a government-issued ID. It could be a passport, it could be a driver's license, it could be just an ID card, anything that is government issued that would has a photo on it that would help us identify who you are. The other thing that we would accept is if you've already received your USF ID. That's an acceptable form of identification. That's probably going to be the most important thing that you bring with you. I think the next thing is probably going to be just a very positive attitude. We love opening and welcoming our students onto campus, and this year we get to do it for an entire week, and so it's going to be a lot of energy around it. And so I think those are probably the 2 most important things. I think some of the other things that you could consider is reviewing our checklist. We have a full itemized checklist of recommended items. I think that has been shared out in a couple of different social media platforms and on our website. That's also a great way to make sure that you've got everything you need. If not, we've got local stores such as Target and Walmart and things like that you could always run at later and pick up other items. But ID and a positive attitude, that's what we're looking for to get you started.
2 important things. So let's talk about those student IDs. You talked about it for a minute, and we're getting some questions from the audience. I was going to ask you later, but let's jump into that. So Lynn is asking, will student IDs be received at move-in if online uploaded photos were approved? Great question. Do you want to answer that?
It is absolutely a great question. So yes, we've partnered with our USF ID card office, and they will have a station as a part of the drive-through check-in process. And so when you come through and you show us your ID, your government issue ID, we will go ahead and give you a hang tag. We'll get you set up so when you come through the line, we will be ready to issue your physical key as well as your USF ID card if you haven't already received it. So I realize that some people may not be coming through the check-in line because they may take some alternative transportation. Maybe a friend's dropping them off. Maybe they're flying in and just catching an Uber or a Lyft to campus. And so when you do that, then what we'll do is we'll ask you to come to the service desk to check in, but we'll also give you some directions to the USF ID card office because we won't have your ID card. You'll have to go there to pick it up. So even if you did upload a photo, we've been working with our partners over there in the ID card office to make sure that we have folks that have IDs ready to go at the drive-through process as well as in the card office for pickup.
Great. And this might be a question for the card office, but I'll throw it your way to see if you know. Jamie is asking, if a student has applied for their student ID and it was approved, but there has not been that $10 charge applied to their account, will it still be ready at check-in?
I would say yes. And the reason I would say yes is because your photo has been approved and you've submitted your application for it. They just may not have gotten around to printing and activating your card yet. So with orientation being online this year, the office was working as quickly as they could to process those cards and get them printed in advance. So it just may not show up yet. Give it a little time, but I guarantee you that they're working on it and getting everybody's printed as quickly as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I would suggest that as it gets closer to your move-in date, maybe even shoot an email or give them a call to see if they're prepared. So the next question is from Brooke. I move in August 8th. Will I be able to have someone help me move in if they are not a resident? So I guess the question would be, does the same move-in assistance numbers apply for those that are moving in August 8th as well?
Absolutely. So great question, Brooke. Yes, you would need to be limited to 2 individuals to help you and try to keep it under the 3 hours. Again, just for make sure that we maintain a safe environment as we possibly can. That's what we're going to be asking of you.
All right, and I'm going to go back to my pre-prepared questions, and we'll get to some more audience questions in a minute. Can you describe the check-in process both at the Yingling Center and service desk? So we've talked about it a little bit, but let's walk through, and I think we have a map here that we can put up too, of where you're entering campus and where you're going for that check-in process.
Absolutely. So I think one of the most beautiful things about campus is our main entry. We have a very, very beautiful overhang of trees. I think they're the canopies. And so we are very, very excited to have folks come through that way. When you come in through that way, you will also reach Alumni Drive. And what we'll do is we'll ask you to make sure that you follow our variable messaging signboards. Those are the kind of the ones that you see on the sides of the roads that gives you directions. And so make sure you are paying attention to those, but you will turn right onto Alumni and head down towards the Yingling Center. And the Yingling Center is formerly known as the Sun Dome, but it's where we play all of our basketball games and where we have volleyball and all kinds of other things going on over there. But we like to get you started there as a part of your journey, and then 4 years later we'll see you back there for commencement. So, but as you come through the area, there will be police there to help direct you, and we'll get you queued up into the Yingling Center parking lot. We've devised a very efficient process to move folks through as fast as possible. But there will be 2 main stations. The first one, it will be where we ask that you have your ID out and ready to go. And we'll have one of our folks that will greet you at the door or at your car. They will get your name and your ID number, and then they will, or not your ID number, either your name, and then they will get you a hang tag to hang in your rearview mirror. And on that hang tag, it'll be your name, your university ID number, your room assignment. And so when you get asked to move to the next station, we will have somebody who will call that out down the line. They will go ahead and pull your room key, get your ID card if it's present, assuming that you haven't already picked it up, and any information that we need to hand off to you. One important thing is that while all of this information is available on our website and you can print it out in advance, we will also give you a little QR code that will help you with a digital map. So basically, it's just a quick link to our website to your move-in location, right? Just to help you navigate campus a little bit. So once you're done there, you'll turn out of the parking lot and you'll either head up Genshaft Drive to the north side of campus, and you'll continue down Alumni to the south side of campus, depending on where you're going. But we've devised what we feel like is a very efficient and safe process, and we're very excited to have this be our inaugural group moving back in to test it out. So
absolutely, and I know that you've been working very hard on those logistics, so thank you for that. I'm sure it's going to be great. So moving
totally a team effort. Totally a team effort.
So moving from that Yingling line, where will you park while you're unloading, and then where can you park after that? And then Lynn is asking a great question, will parking be free during the move-in process? So
I'm going to incorporate it in there. So thank you for asking the question, Lynn. Yes, parking will be free for it. If your student has a vehicle on campus, then you will need to make sure that it is registered with Parking and Transportation Services and get the appropriate permit. But during our move-in process, our partners are very gracious to afford us a number of areas and spaces that we can use as unloading zones for our residents and our families. And so what we would ask is that you head on over to the loading zone that is closest to your hall, that you go ahead and get unloaded as quickly as you can, get yourself moved up to your room. But then we would ask that you come down as soon as you possibly can to move your vehicle. If it's possible to keep it 30 minutes or less, that would be great. But what that does is it allows our other bulls to be able to utilize that unloading space for their move-in as well. We have a lot of parking available, and so you should be able to find a permanent spot after unloading that you can park in that would be relatively close to your halls. So yes and yes, and we have lots of spaces. So
absolutely, especially now that we're spreading out the one-day process that people may be used to over a week. Parking is going to be probably a lot easier of a situation to maneuver through. So we are getting some questions from a couple of different viewers saying that they have two vehicles that they're driving to move a student in. Will both cars need to go through the check-in line? And if so, will two hang tags be issued? It's a great question.
Really great question. No, both cars do not need to go through the move-in process. Again, all of our unloading zone area information is on our website. I encourage you to look at it if you are the second vehicle, so that you kind of get an idea of where you need to go. But the vehicle with the student in it will need to go through the drive-through check-in process unless they're taking alternative transportation. And so we would need to be able to, we need the student present in order to issue the ID card and the room key. So at least that individual needs to be in the car.
All right. So I'm going to jump over to health and safety measures. What health and safety measures are being implemented during the move-in process this year?
Another great question. And the safety of our campus community is the highest priority of everyone at USF. We will remain in masks the entire time. We have the university has bought a number of masks that they will be issuing out. Most of the staff that has had to report to campus still has been issued those masks, and so we will maintain masks the entire time. We will have hand sanitizer on hand so that we aren't, as staff, working the check-in process, making sure that we are staying as sanitary as possible as we are engaging. One thing to note, the first station that the vehicles arrive through the check-in process, we're going to ask you to keep your window up. And we'll have a nice little sign that will help remind you of that and kind of what our directions are. But we'll ask you to keep your window up. So number one, keep your air conditioning in. You've been working hard for it. And number two, just to maintain that safety barrier. And so when you show your ID, all you need to do is just hold it up to your window just so that we can read it. And so that would be one of the biggest safety measures. The second one I would say is going to be in our Bull Hall welcome wagon. And I know that got touched on in the earlier segment, but we have been working with our environmental health and safety department on training to ensure that every cart that comes back to us is sanitized in an appropriate and professional fashion. And so we have all of the supplies and materials and the training needed for that. And so all of the carts that will be issued will be sanitized before they get issued to a new family member or resident. So other than that, we ask that we make sure that our families and our residents and our students overall review the USF health and safety protocols with regards to social distancing, mask requirements, things like that. So before you arrive, so that way you're well aware of it. So.
Right. Thank you for that. So this ties in with that a little bit. A question from Carrie with health and safety measures that are being implemented throughout the residence halls going into the fall semester. Are students allowed to have guests from just their dorms or other dorms? I'm assuming what they mean is inside their dorm, the residence hall themselves.
Right. So right now we are not permitting visitors from other halls just to maintain the safety of the and social distancing. There's very specific language on some additional limitations that we've had to place on the halls this year on our website. So I would encourage you to review that. But it does answer that particular question. So. As well as how many folks you can have in from like, let's say, down the hall in your room. So I believe it's no more than one per person. So if myself and my roommate, we could have one additional person each in the room at a time.
Right. And yeah, that's all listed on our website on the addendum section for sure. So if the audience wants to check that out, just to make sure that they're aware of all the different guidelines in place. So this also goes in line with the health and safety going into the fall semester. Lynn is asking, are you requiring students to move out between semesters this year for a deep cleaning of rooms?
No, we are not. When a student contracts for the room, it is for the entire term or the fall and spring, right? So no one is being forced to leave until the end of the term, which I think is December 13th this year. So some students may choose to not return to campus after Thanksgiving break because all of the rest of the coursework will be online. But we will not be requiring anybody to move out for any kind of deep clean. We will maintain our regular and normal safety precautions with regards to cleaning of bathrooms, hallways, common areas, lounges, kitchens, things like that throughout the semester. So it won't be one deep clean at the end. It will be systematically throughout the entire semester.
Right, thank you. And we have a question from Kimberly. Will the check-in process begin prior to the move-in time?
Will the check-in process be, so I'm going to assume the question is, if I show up at 7:30 in the morning, can I check in even though my move-in time isn't until 9 or 1 p.m.?
Right, which would apply to the Yingling Center, will we be receiving check-ins before the scheduled move-in time?
We will go ahead and queue folks up. So if you arrive, let's say at 8:30 in the morning, and we are still getting ready for everyone at 9, we will go ahead and get you queued up. We will get you ready. You'll be probably one of the first in line. And as soon as we can, we will move you through the line, even if that is we are ready at 8:50 or 8:55. We're not going to wait until exactly 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll go ahead and get folks moving through the line to get them into their unloading zones. So, but I would say that it's very important though that you arrive at your move-in time, right? So if it is that you sign up for a 1 o'clock move-in time slot and you show up at 10 a.m., it may be a little bit of a delay in getting through. So we really ask, because of the limitations for safety and the limitations of staffing to efficiently move folks through, that you come at your signed up designated time slot. Again, you can change that if something changes in your family, something changes with your circumstances. You can change that up until we've reached our capacity. But we would ask that you stay within your time slot.
All right. And Lisa's asking, if my confirmation email for move-in does not show the date that was picked, will this be an issue?
That's a good question, Lisa. Thank you for asking it. I would reach out to housing. Send us an email. I just want to confirm that for you and make sure that you signed up for the day that you intended to. So I just want to make sure there wasn't some kind of odd system glitch. So please email us at housing@usf.edu, and you can just forward that email, the confirmation email, and just say, hey, didn't get a actual date. Can you just confirm that I'm signed up for whatever your date is?
Got it. Thank you. And Brittany is asking, where and how can students borrow move-in carts? So just in case Brittany missed the beginning with Megan when we went over Bull Hall Welcome Wagon, do you want to give a quick summary of that?
Yeah, so Bull Hall, Welcome Wagon is much different than has been in the past, and so our Bull Hall Welcome Wagon volunteers will be at Cypress E, Holly J, Holly L, and JPH to issue carts It is important that you have an ID with you, so preferably your USF student ID, but a driver's license will work as well. And so we will issue the carts during during your move-in times. So they will be available. We do have a limited number, so if it is that you have your own that you could bring, then I would encourage you to do that. It would just help speed up your process. But we will have our large move-in carts available.
Great. So let's start talking about the single rooms that are available. We're getting some questions about this from the audience. What are the options for students that now want to be in a single room?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question. So, so we have heard from some of our residents that they do have this desire. And so this morning we sent out an email to all of our residents who are living in double traditional rooms, double suite rooms, and residents who are currently do not have a roommate assignment, and offered them an option for a single room. And so we can certainly honor that request. We do have a limited availability, and so we're asking folks who are requesting this to submit their request no later than 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. And there is a price difference, and so I want to make sure everyone is informed so that you can make a decision that's appropriate for you. And so on our website, we have the single price options available, so that you can review that and figure out what is best for you. But if you just have general questions about single options and what may or may not be available, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will do our best to help you find something that works for you.
Great. And Laura is asking a question that goes along with that. If your roommate is not listed anymore, will you be assigned another one?
Yes. So one of the things that we need to do is make sure that we're using our space as efficiently as possible. We take that very seriously because ultimately the money that we use to run housing is student money. And so we're always very judicious in how we use it. And so yes, I believe it was Laura who was asking the question.
Yes.
So yes, Laura, if it is that you no longer have a roommate, you should have received that same email this morning, offering the option to have a single room for the fall term. If not, then you probably will receive a roommate, as we are kind of looking through our rosters and making sure that they're ready for next week. Gosh, next week. I can't even believe we're getting ready to move in, folks, next week. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep, it's August. So Zalfa is asking if super singles are still available.
Yes, in some instances, yes, they are. Again, you just reply if you are interested in that. Email us. Make sure it's coming from your USF email. Make sure your U number is listed, and that you are requesting a single option. And we can certainly evaluate that request and do our best to get back to you as soon as possible.
All right. And Brooke is asking about capacity this fall. Is housing going to be at or around full capacity in the fall?
We will be as full as we can be. A lot of students have made decisions that is best for them, which we've been advocating for them to do all summer long. And so we won't be at full capacity. And so we will be having an exceptional residential experience like we always have. It may look a little different this year, but I guarantee you that you will not see a difference in the quality of our residential experience from years previous.
Absolutely. Going back to the 3-hour move-in appointment, Derek is asking, does our 3-hour time limit start while we're in line waiting to check in or after we've officially checked in?
It starts at the time that your check-in window starts, right?
Right.
So really the 9 to 12. So if it is that you can work to be there between 9 and 10, then you should be done sometime between 12:30, around 12:30ish, right? With your move-in process. So again, it's really just to maintain as safe of an environment as we possibly can by limiting the number of folks within a building at one time. I know it's a difficult ask, and I know sometimes people feel very rushed to move in their belongings and get set up in such a short time window. But bring what you can and maybe have a little bit of an idea ahead of time of what you're planning on doing, right? We have really great 3D graphical images on our website of all of our room types. And so you can easily go online and see, okay, I can see kind of where the beds were set up this way. And if I, put in a work order to have my bed adjusted to a high or a medium height, then I can do this, so there are a number of options that you can explore in advance of showing up. So that way you're not trying to figure it out on the fly. So, but yes,
absolutely.
to answer your question, yes, we need to be pretty firm on the 3-hour time window, so hopefully everybody exiting around noon time each noon or 4 p.m. each day.
Right. Got it. And Jamie's asking, if your roommate has already moved in on a day before you, can they help you move in along with your 2 helpers?
I am going to say yes to that because Jamie already lives there. So if Jamie wants to be a great roommate and help you, absolutely.
Great. And Dana's asking, if you have lost your roommate when you were reassigning roommates, will they be in the same year as you? Let me reword the question here. So Dana asked, if you have lost your roommate when you reassign roommates, will they be in the same year as you?
Not necessarily.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not necessarily. So, so we try to look at a number of factors when we do reassignments, such as roommate pairing groups and room types, but we don't necessarily look at the individual. So, so we really, so if, for example, if you said that, or you signed up to live in a suite style or even a traditional style, we wouldn't necessarily move you to an apartment, right? Because that's not the style you chose for whatever your reasons are for choosing that style. But we would do the same. When we consolidate, we would try to keep the suites together, the traditionals together, apartments together.
Right. And so for clarification, it looks like Dana's asking if they'll be in the same grade as you. So are you going to be assigned with another sophomore, that sort of thing? So.
We can't guarantee that because we really don't look at the person like that.
Right. All right, great. So Chris is asking, can you request a single room in an LLC? So this question came in when we were talking about single spaces and requesting to move from a double to a single. So if you're in an LLC, is that possible?
So I would say the only way that's going to be possible is if you are in an LLC space right now and do not currently have a roommate. The kind of the deadline for our LLCs to get applications in so that they can secure all of their spaces that they've requested earlier in the academic year would be June 15th. And so we usually solidify all of those room assignments around that time. However, if your circumstance is that you have do not have a roommate, are a member of that LLC, and would like to request it for a single option, then we may be able to do that. Best thing to do is just email housing, make those couple of comments about I'm already in an existing LLC. I don't have a roommate. I'd like to keep my room as a single for the fall term, and we'll see what we can do.
All right, perfect. And Elisa is asking, are the students permitted to go home for a weekend when they return to their dorm?
Yes. Just like being on campus and being off campus, still we ask you to remain safe as possible and practice social distancing guidelines. But yes, we do not have any kind of regulations at this point for managing your movements. So if you go home, that's fine. You go to a friend's house, that's fine. Just be a smart bull and make sure that you're practicing social distancing and wearing your mask and being as safe as possible.
Absolutely. So Andrea is asking, for students moving into the dorm in the spring, will they be able to make a roommate request?
Absolutely. You can make the request and we'll see what we can do to honor it. I cannot guarantee it. But when you do make the request, make sure that the desired roommate is already it requests you as well. So it really needs to be a mutual request. So And if you're new to moving onto campus and you're for both of them, then you should be able to list each other on your application or during room selection as a desired roommate pair.
Great. So going back to the questions I have prepared for you, some people in the audience are asking about this as well. If I arrive before the start of my meal plan on August 20th, will dining options be available?
There will be some dining options available. I do not believe that it will start with your meal plan until the 20th, but there are food options available on campus. I believe that Juniper Dining will be open as well as the Hub. And as we move through that week, then we may start to see some of the other restaurants and eateries opening back up. So Champion's Choice and the Pod Markets and Marshall Student Center, Chick-fil-A, Bento Sushi, all of those would start opening, possibly start opening back up. But that's a great question for dining. I would just monitor their website so that you can keep up to date with all of their information. But I believe that they will slowly start opening back up as we move through the first week.
Absolutely. So I know for sure that there will be dining options available, especially for those that are arriving as early as the 15th with the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon program. But I would have the students be prepared to use something outside of their meal plan option, as you just mentioned.
Absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about this height of the bed that you can pre-submit. So can you talk about how you can go about either in the housing portal or when you move in for your move-in appointment, how you go about pre-submitting your bed height request?
Absolutely. So when you did your move-in sign up to pick your time slot and day to move in, the confirmation email that you received had some additional instructions on it with regards to submitting a work order for adjusting your bed height. And there's a nice pamphlet that provides some different heights of what our high, medium, and low are on our different bed types. And so all you need to do is look at that and figure out what is going to be the height that works for you and your room setup. And then you submit a work order through our work order system. And so I believe you can do it right off of that PDF document, or if you go to our website, I believe it's one of the 4 middle icons or buttons that you can submit a work order. And then you go ahead and put it in there, note your room, note what bed you are. And so if it is that you see on your room assignment that you're the A bed in a particular room, then make sure you note that you're the A bed. If you're the B, C, D, so on and so forth. And so we are working to process those as they've been coming in so that they are ready for students, and we would have a kind of a contactless experience with our maintenance staff. But we usually receive several thousands of these, and a lot of times they're on opening week. And so if you submit a work order, I would just ask for a little patience, a little grace for our maintenance team. They will get to it as quickly as they possibly can to make sure that you are ready. But it may not be the same day you move in if it was submitted that day. But if you submitted it today or even through the end of this week, more than likely it'll be done before you arrive.
Yep, sooner the better. So
Absolutely.
Alexa's asking, if you already canceled your housing contract and now want to return to campus in the fall, is that possible?
Absolutely. We will more than welcome you back to campus. We have plenty of spaces available. Only thing you would need to do is email us at housing@usf.edu and just ask for us to reactivate your contract. And we will most certainly do that and get you an assignment as quickly as we can. Even if you have a preference, so if you prefer a suite or an apartment or a traditional, make sure you put that in your email, and we would be more than happy to do that. If you do it before Sunday and you want a single, make sure you note that in there as well, and we'll see what we can do.
Great. So we're getting some questions about testing, specifically what if a student cannot get their COVID results in time submitted? So do you want to just provide the contact information for those that have questions about testing specifically?
Absolutely. So first, I just want to address that if it is that you are not marked cleared through the assessment tool, then we unfortunately cannot give you a key. But our colleagues at Student Health Services are ready and willing to assist you in either getting a test or assisting in any kind of the clearance for that. And so I would recommend that you email them. I believe their email is shs, that's shs@usf.edu, with any questions or comments. I would also urge you to check the website, both the COVID-19 website as well as the Student Health Services website, for the latest information to assist you. So they have some really great FAQs out there that maybe have the answer to what you're looking for.
Great. So I have just a couple of questions left for you, Andy. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. If a student needs ADA accommodations during move-in, who should they contact?
The best contact, again, is housing@usf.edu. We have a small team of folks that are monitoring that email address, and so they will make sure that your request gets to the appropriate party, and make sure that we can help you with a very easy move-in process. I will share that most of our requests that come through are in regards to elevators, and I just wanted to assure everybody that every building in our residence hall, every residence hall in our campus has a elevator that is fully functioning. Some have one, some have two, some have three. And so it may be just a little bit of time to move up and down through them. But we are ready and willing to make sure that part is always working and functioning properly. So I know that I remember moving into my first residence hall as an undergrad, and I had to go up 3 flights of stairs carrying everything I brought with me. So it was no elevator. So yes, we do our best to make sure that they are running as efficiently as possible. So
I'm sure that's great news for everyone watching on either the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th floor.
Right.
So last question for you, Andy. Do you have any additional tips or advice for those moving in?
I would say the biggest thing that I would say is be patient. Be excited, be positive. A positive attitude is going to be just the very most important thing that you need to bring with you. We are eager to have our students back on campus. It's been a long few months, and myself and all of my colleagues across campus are ready to have students come back. And so I would say just get ready to start that journey. Reassure mom and dad and family members and friends that you're going to be okay, that you're getting ready to start one of the best journeys of your life for now in the next 4 years, and just come willing and ready to explore new things and get your life started as a bowl.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Andy, for taking the time.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. Good night.
Night. Before we wrap up, I'd like to remind incoming residents that the move-in sign-up form is now live in the housing portal. Students can schedule a move-in appointment between August 16th and August 23rd. Detailed move-in information is listed on our website at usf.edu/housing. If you have more questions about living on campus at USF, please email us at housing@usf.edu. USF Housing Live is produced by Housing and Residential Education at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Our motto is best place to live, best place to work, and best place to learn. Thank you to tonight's guests, Megan Hooper and Dr. Andrew Johnson, for joining me this evening. Thank you to our production crew, to you, our viewers, and of course, there's always just one last thing. Go Bulls! Good night, everyone.